everybody. Hello, how we doing? Welcome to what is going to be a really fun stream today as we're joined by our friends over at ReadSpeaker and Carrie, who we'll get into that a little bit more later. But for those of you who don't know, my name is Parker. I am the IGDA Director of Operations and Events. And joined with me here, Tom, I'll have you kick off. Who are you? What do you do? Why are you here? Why are we doing this on this Tuesday?
Right? So first, Parker, I enjoy the streamer setup. Clearly, I have to step up my game with some background items.
Oh yeah, it's all
Steal
about what's going on behind the scenes.
yeah steal a few things from my boys as
There you go.
that they've collected from the gaming experience. So yeah, as you said, I'm with ReadSpeaker on the business development team, and probably for the past 2 years now, we've been building out our game engine plugin for the gaming community. And one aspect of that is game accessibility, and that's what our involvement with the Global Game Jam, kind of that's how we got started with the Global Game Jam, was figuring out, how can we let game developers access our plugin and see what they can do with it. So it's been a learning experience for me. So my background comes from education, and where I've worked with ReadSpeakers, textbook publisher customers, where we do text-to-speech reading for students with learning disabilities as well as visually impaired. So when ReadSpeaker started the gaming initiative, I kind of raised my hand, where I have two teenage boys and all they do is game. So I was like, let me figure out this gaming thing as something to talk to them about. So it's been a great experience, learning about where our technology can be used in game accessibility. So for me, that's what my main focus is.
I, lo-
And
I love that. I love that. Pontus, what do you do? Share with us. Why do you come here today?
Yeah, right. So my name is Pontus. I am a product manager at the ReadSpeaker. So I joined the company 3 years ago now, and pretty much from the very start, I have been focused on the gaming side of things. So as Tom mentioned, ReadSpeaker has been around for more than 20 years at this point, doing things in web accessibility and text-to-speech. And so basically 3 years ago, we decided that we wanted to have a look at how we can get into gaming and make games more accessible. So what that ended up in was looking at what tools we already have available and how we can sort of work on creating new solutions to be able to better help developers who want to implement accessibility features into their games in a way that's really simplified. So what that ended up in was that we took our text-to-speech SDK, we ported it to a bunch of different platforms, basically every modern gaming console. What we also did on top on that is we built out integrations with Unity and Unreal Engine to really provide a simple installation process and build process for developers who are looking to use this. So I was originally in development. So I have been developing these things, these plugins from the start, but now I've transitioned over to a product management role where I do that. So that's basically why I'm here today.
Amazing. Love that. Well, thank you, both you and Tom, for joining us. And last but not least, Carrie, please tell us about yourself. Why did you join us on this? It's not morning for you, I don't believe anymore. So
No, it is not. It's not. It is like the end of the workday for me.
oh goodness.
I know you have me at my best. Hi, I'm Carrie. I am an accessibility designer. I work at a indie game studio called Rebellion in the UK, and I make games in my spare time, usually with my partner in crime, Scott. And that's why I'm here today. I've been using ReadSpeaker for a little while now on some personal projects, and Scott and I made a game for the Global Game Jam using ReadSpeaker. So yeah, I don't have a big long thing. Thank you for having me.
No, and I know what brought us together today is also the Global Game Jam, which just finished up a couple weeks ago, I want to say. So the big theme was make us laugh. Can Tom or Pontus, could you guys touch upon like what your involvement was with the Global Game Jam this year?
So I would say it was a learning experience. It was interesting on many different aspects. So we knew the how big Global Game Jam was in the game development space.
Oh
Just
yeah.
because it's something people talk about, tweet about, and we hear about it. So we actually reached out to them to inquire about sponsorships, and we learned about diversifiers.
Yeah.
It was I jokingly say it was a learning experience, but it definitely was. I mean, we learned a lot, just within the first couple of days of
Oh yeah.
how all how it all happens, and that it's globally that all these game developers are getting together and working through it. So I think I expect we're going to continue to be involved, and next year we'll do things a little bit differently to get more involvement. The make us laugh piece, I again, being the first timer, I didn't know like how the theme worked. So when they drop the theme and then you see all these people in the Discord talking about it, and it's like, wait a minute, everybody has to change what they were thinking about. Like I assumed some people would think of an advantage and build something ahead of time, and they really couldn't.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
That's just it makes you think on your feet. That's the whole thing with any game jam, but especially this. It's it's meant to help get those creative juices flowing in a lot of ways, and so it's to give you that spark of inspiration and just let it go, let it run from there, which is honestly the beauty and magic I find of game jams. But anyways,
Yeah, and then
very cool.
So part of ReadSpeaker's involvement in the Global Game Jam, as the diversifier, was also we put together a prize pool where
Yeah.
we wanted to incentivize the developers to think about accessibility. So I'm happy to announce that Kerry and Scott, their submission Blind Blake, was awarded ReadSpeaker's accessibility award. So
Yay.
congratulations to Kerry.
Thank you. I don't quite know how to react to that.
just drop that on you in the beginning, but my goal as we talk about it today, and we you highlight some of the work you've done, and also just how fun this little game was to play. I think it'll be clear why you came out on top when the our discussions internally here at ReadSpeaker was, wait, she checked all these boxes. We put together our grading rubric giving our education background. So we actually went through and tried to review it granularly. But yeah, Kerry, it was both enjoyable to play and also educational. And we'll talk about the gameplay, but I'm going to highlight when the curtain drops down. It's like, all right, I can't cheat. I can't open my eyes. It's like I have to play the game through as if I had a visual impairment, and it taught me so much. Just that 2 minutes of gameplay.
Oh man, thank you. I need a copy of that grading rubric because I want to see how well Scott I did. But no, like, oh my god, I think we went out on a limb because we discussed a couple of ideas beforehand, and we were like, we could do this educational piece, and we were like, everybody's gonna hear education and be like, oh, that's really dull. But I was like, no, I'm invested. I want to do this. Oh man, I'm so. Thank you.
I've been enjoying watching her live reaction of this entire thing. I'm not gonna lie, because clearly you caught her off guard here, but in like the best possible way. So I love this.
And Pontus, and I don't know, and did you have any involvement in Global Game Jam when you were in school doing? I know you took a couple of gaming courses, if memory serves right.
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, I was never able to participate in the Global Game Jam. I had my eyes on it for a couple of years and sort of watched the submissions that came out of it, but I never got a chance to participate myself. But who knows, right? There's still some time.
Oh yeah, There's always next year.
That's also next year,
Now
right?
it's a matter of it's a matter of ReadSpeaker as a sponsor and entry. You know, I mean,
There you
I
go.
love the idea of the team working on a concept in, you know, kind of that, we'll call it hackathon type approach. And
Yep.
Carrie, from conversations, I know you've done multiple game jams. What's your experience?
Oh yeah, okay. So I've been doing Global Game Jam since like 2016. I think that was my first
Oh,
one. I
wow.
was in first year of uni in 2016. I don't want to do the maths. Please don't make me do the maths.
You're good. It's fine.
I have skipped a couple because sometimes like I haven't had the time or just like it hasn't been the right kind of vibe with teams. But my first ever global game jam, it's 2016. The theme was rituals, and that game actually got me into Dare to Be Digital, which is like an international student competition, which was wild. It was a little game called Pentagram. It actually got us a BAFTA nomination as well, which was incredible. But
Oh,
like
that's so cool.
it was never going to win because it was like little cultists. It was a little
That's-
multiplayer game that was little cultists like sacrificing things, and like one of them was like a box of kittens and stuff. And it was like it was.
That's good.
I don't know how that I don't know. I don't know how that got past like BAFTA, and they were like, yes, this is okay with the nomination, but you know, it's a vibe, and I love that. But yeah, I come from an old time where Global Game Jam was just like the 48 hours. So like it's
Oh,
become more ethical now where you've got like the week and you can do it like that. Which is great. It's really great for different times, and like for how much like commitment you can give to it. And is a lot more ethical, a lot less crunch culture.
correct. Which is
But yeah, exactly. But like so our experience this year, Scott and I, like we signed up to go and do the global game jam at my old uni or our old uni because we both graduated from there. And you can still go and do it over that 48 hours. So we spent a little bit of time in the week preparing, and then we went and did that like 48-hour stint because we're nostalgic. We're crunch,
No.
yes. I mean, nothing like, you know, nothing boosts creativity of like lack of sleep and
Lack of
too
sleep
many
and a very
many
strong deadline. So yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like hyper focus mode.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was great. So I don't know. Do you want me to talk more about what the experience was like, or I don't want to like.
Well, no, I think we'll come back to that. So for the interesting piece where you say it's kind of crunch time and all hours of the night. So this was our first event that really launched ReadSpeaker's Discord channel. You know, where we started to you know see, you know, the people would accept the link, and then, you know, you get the Discord notification that they wave, and it's like, okay, you know, we're seeing people coming in, they're looking at the plugin, and then some of the technical questions started to come in, and of course, you know, Pontus, they had to come in at Saturday at, you know, 2 p.m., 8 p.m., 10, you know, and all hours, because the game developers were working on it, you know, uh, at, at all different times. So that was an interesting experience for me, but it was also enjoyable. Like you know, I'd get the notification on my phone, and if I could answer the question, I would. Otherwise, it was like, you know, all right, I know Pontus is there. Do I nudge him, or do I wait? Because I was so excited about it.
Yeah, well, I took some time to answer questions whenever I found the time. So I think we managed quite well in that part. But yeah, it was quite an experience to see the questions come in. You know.
Yeah,
And it was great that we got some people in there and had some interesting showcases as well in the showcase channel. So I enjoyed seeing that over the course of the jam as well.
So then, Pontus, at a technical level, I know you mentioned it briefly during your introduction, but you know, our focus in Global Game Jam and in the gaming space is around our plugin. So, you know, can you give a high level of what it is, where it works, and a little background?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I guess I'll give a sort of a brief background on the tool and how it came to be. So I think I touched upon this earlier as well, that ReadSpeaker has been doing accessibility for 20 plus years. We wanted to do create a solution for game developers to really help them get started with implementing text-to-speech and accessibility in the form of UI narration and so on and so forth. So what we did was we went and looked at the different sort of ways we can provide this to game developers, and we found that Unity and Unreal Engine was two good points, two good programs for us to hook into. Combined, they have quite a large user base. So what we did was we took our text-to-speech SDK, which has been developed over many years at this point. As I said, we ported it to all of the modern gaming consoles, so it's available for PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and then we took that. Then we built a complete integration with both Unity and Unreal Engine, which basically allows developers to simply install the plugin. It will contain the entire SDK, and for example, in Unreal Engine, we provide the blueprint functions to perform the text-to-speech process to really make it simple to get started. And what we also do is we integrate with the audio subsystem in both of these game engines. So essentially, we could condense the entire development process from the eyes of a game developer to handling audio buffers, passing data back and forth to just a few simple function calls. So in the most simple case, if you're working inside Unity, for example, you can get started using text-to-speech with basically 2 lines of code. And another big pain point, I think, for game developers who want to deploy to multiple different platforms is that sorry, lost my train of thought. There's so much I want to say. I don't.
Right. It's a matter of how much do we share and how much do we. One interesting thing I think we should talk about right at the beginning of Global Game Jam, it got a little heated really quickly in the world of AI. There was a lot of talk about one of the other diversifiers and the use of AI in games, and I think Pontus and I come at this at the same angle of our plugin. The key difference between other TTS plugins is that we're embedded, so we're an engine that's going dynamically. That's why we focus on what voice actors can't do, and that's the goal of our plugin. So the accessibility piece, dynamic UI, dynamic audio description, or play-by-play announcer based on what's going on in the game. So when we saw that activity early in the game jam, Carrie, there were a couple of tweets that people responded to you, and we were like, no, that's our AI is not AI. It's we're working with contracted voice actors,
Yeah.
and it's an interesting time in the industry, is for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point that you touched upon with the voice actors. We are really not looking to replace voice actors with this tool. We see it as a complement, for example, to implement accessibility features or have speech enable text content which couldn't be done by traditional voice actors. So, for example, player entered input, right? If say you have a multiplayer chat where you want to enter text and have it be read aloud. So those type of cases. And you also mentioned another very crucial point, I think, which that was where I was going previously as well, before I lost my train of thought there. So the really key difference between what we do versus what I think a lot of other sort of actors in this space are focusing on is that we do everything locally on the device. So this means that whenever you build your game in Unity or Unreal Engine and deploy it to the Nintendo Switch, that means that our SDK is now installed together with your game files on the Nintendo Switch console as well, as an example. This works for all of the platforms. So this means that there's no network dependency. You don't need to have an internet connection at all. You don't need to be concerned with the data privacy. what's more, latency. We can get really fast response times due to performing all of the operations on the device and not having to send things back and forth. So that's what I was going for earlier as well, and I think that's the really key difference between our approach versus the others.
So I think we've kind of talked about the plugin, but I think we should see it. I know. So in the world of is StreamYard, is that where we are? And how to share gameplay and how to share audio, and it in where it would be difficult to play this game. I know, Carrie, you put together a video, an overview. Do you want to give a little entry before we play that, just of what's going to happen and what people should know about your global game jam submission?
Maybe just talk even about the global game jam submission. Like I think we've been talking around it for a second here.
Yeah.
So maybe explain it a bit more and even some of the inspiration, then we can go into the video of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what we did this year, because we had the week, Scott and I spent like the week days like setting some stuff up. So like he got some initial transitions working. I installed the ReadSpeaker plugin because I was really anxious that Pontus wasn't going to be available over the weekend. I was like, I need to get all my questions asked now so that it's working.
So sweet, so kind.
And yeah,
so considerate.
I was like really, really anxious.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. So we got that all set up, and we did a couple of other little things as well. Like usually when we do game jams, so I come from a UI background. I've done a lot of programming in Unreal Engine. Scott is a level design background, so he does also a lot of blueprinting in Unreal Engine. And he did all of the 3D art. We're calling it designer art, and I made the shader because I was like fed up of our games always looking really bad, so I was like, I'm gonna like make a shader this week, so that at least that's gonna make things look reasonably okay. But yeah, the inspiration, so the theme filled me with dread, because it's like, just be funny on demand. I'm like, I can't be funny when I'm trying to be funny, so this is just anxiety inducing and I hate this. But we were looking like through the diversifiers, and there was one about like the proliferation of baked goods, and I like latched onto that and was like, okay, right, whatever we're doing, baked goods are really easy to model, like, so we'll just kind of go with that. And I had this like we'd obviously seen the ReadSpeaker being involved, and we had this idea of like using that in some way, and I had this idea of combining like my background in accessibility with Scott's background in level design, and being like, okay, accessibility, level design, marrying that together and creating this like educational piece, and really trying to showcase like what ReadSpeaker can do as well, and just getting to use it more. So yeah, we kind of did that, and the idea was to educate and to teach people, to give them a different perspective, and kind of it's designed so that it can be played co-op, like by two people, and we decided that the laughing is going to kind of come as a result of like that aspect of it, the same way in like Lethal Company or something, it's the experience that you have, it's a shared experience. So yeah, I think probably we can go to the video, and then I can talk about it in a bit more depth after if you'd like.
Sounds good. Give me just a second and I will get that set up.
Oh yeah, sorry, I gave you like no time there. I was
fine.
like, I'm just gonna and now.
And now. All right, here we go. Okay. Make sure that's all good and up.
This is Blind Bake, full game prototype made for Global Game Jam 2024, which showcases audio navigation using sound to navigate levels. Up to 2 players cooperate to escape the bakery. 1 player deploys chorusing confections to help guide the croissant, who can't see the game, using only sound, and to sweet freedom. At your disposal are leaping marshmallows, which create a pinging sound. Jam, which changes your footsteps to something more sticky. And Battenbergs, which speak custom text.
Jump when you hear jam.
Play co-op with a blind or blindfolded player as the croissant, or solo through blind accessible mode, which omits the build phase and uses pre-placed minions. Blind Bake is brought to life with menu narration and text-to-speech using ReadSpeaker, and hopes to teach players about guiding gamers without sight-through audio. Download the latest version now on itch.io.
That's so cute. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I forgot to mention that I made a little croissant blindfold.
That's exactly. I just made a note that all right. When it comes to make us laugh like that was probably the best piece. I'm like, how do you come up with the idea that I'm gonna make a croissant blind?
Well, it was just like we were just like playing around with it, and I was like, oh, actually, like it would be really cute to just make a blindfold. So I like went to Hobbycraft one of the mornings and was like, this will be a nice way to break up my day.
Oh
Like whilst the
yeah.
build is uploading, I'll just like
Do
Kyle some
arts and
felt
crafts.
yeah, and do arts and crafts.
I
Yeah, but I think
love
the
that.
blindfold is preferred over tying an actual croissant over your eyes. Right?
Yeah, I would probably try to eat it if there was an actual croissant over my eyes. It wouldn't last as a blindfold.
I mean, like it's a treat, right? It's a reward. You get to the end of the game, you
Okay,
get your
fair.
croissant.
That's fair. That's fair. I love the use of the Battenberg as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bamberg's really cute. So in the accessibility sub community, there's a bit of a bit of a meme with Battenbergs. It's kind of because
Good.
it's a very British cake.
Yes.
Yeah.
I find it so amusing.
And it was actually so fun story. When I pitched the idea to Scott initially, I was like, right, beeping marshmallows and screaming strawberries. But then we found out that strawberry was actually quite difficult for him to model, and I was like,
Fair.
Battenbergs. It's a square cake and it's on theme for accessibility.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's it.
Me
This
being
is how you
marshmallows.
reduce your scope.
Yeah, meanwhile, I was watching that and I'm like, good, my Great British Bake Off binging has come in handy, and I know what a Battenberg is. This is good.
Yes. I don't know why Scott made it brown on the outside. I did explain to him that it's like supposed to be covered in marzipan, which should be
Yeah.
bright yellow, but
Yeah.
like I think because he'd made
Fine.
everything else quite cream colored, he wanted it to stand out, which is
That's fair.
It's a chocolate Battenberg.
There you go. It's fine.
But yeah.
The jam was like my favorite feature, like just getting the footprints behind it, and then that I was happy to see that what Pontus has said before about the in game player entered content where you could give directions and the text to speech voice would read that out. And it's funny that you used follow my voice to get here. My entry was stop, you're going to fall off, that because I put it right at the end of the so that I wouldn't fall off the sides. And
Mhm.
I put it as almost an audio warning that you're getting too close to the edge, turn now. So the use case just for that feature is just unmatched. So
Yeah, we thought it was really cool. It's just a nice way to kind of put it in. Like, yeah, the jam was one of the ones I really wanted to do, just because I thought it would be really informative. Like from some of the work I've done before with like Sightless Combat, the absence of audio was something that I didn't expect to be as informative as it was. But like, so I remember I was like testing something else that I'd made with him, and he was like, oh, I bumped into a wall, and I was like, how did you know that? And he's like, oh, the footsteps stopped, and I was like, oh, that's really obvious. Yes, you're correct there. So I was like, okay, the jam. The code for that is so jank, by the way. It's so jank. It's my code. And I was like, this works. We'll deal with this. But yeah, I really liked having the two kind of voices. One of the things that I wanted to get in was on our scope list was to use there's another female voice, and I wanted to use that to have like a recipe book that you could then use for like audio description, and then we could have put some like nice kind of aesthetic pieces around the level and encourage the user to like describe what they looked like. But we only had the game jam, the 48 hours that we set ourselves to do it.
yeah, the time is of the essence.
Mhm.
And one thing, Carrie, we skipped over. How did you get involved in accessibility? Like what
Oh,
kind of what flipped the switch? You said you are in accessibility, but did I miss
yes.
what got
How
you
did
here and what drives you?
Oh, what got me here and what drives me? So, what got me here? So I was in user experience before, like UX and UI design. And then I got a mentorship with Robert McDonald from Splash Damage. And initially, I had this mentorship with him because my programmers told me that I didn't know how to program UI. So I was like, okay, I need to get some UI tutoring. And then as I was like talking to Mac and we were working on that, we kind of reached a sort of stage of it. He's like, have you thought about accessibility at all? And I was like, not really. I didn't really know that it was a thing that existed. So I kind of crammed a whole bunch of research into a kind of short period of time and started putting accessibility into the game that I was working on at the studio at the time. And like it was just something that I immediately identified with. I was like homeschooled, so a lot of the people that I grew up with were people who traditional school didn't work for them because they had like some of them were hard of hearing, or they had like physical disabilities or learning disabilities. And so it was very much a community that I grew up in that was just very diverse and full of different people. And then when I went to like traditional school, at some point I felt really frustrated that there were lots of people that weren't getting on well with learning because there was like one way that they were teaching. It was like textbooks, this is how we're going to go, and like that doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't work for me. I have to make big colorful like flow charts, but I'd understood that because I had spent loads of years like working through my learning process like with my parents and with other kids. So it was really important for me to like make learning accessible, and it was the focus of like my honors project and like uni. I was looking at how to do that with like origami kits. So it's really dumb looking back on it and going, I did not even think that this was a thing in games until somebody else pointed out to me. But like it's the best job in games because the entire thing is just helping more people to play games. And it's just, you know, the escapes that I've had, being able to like go off into fantasy worlds, being able to go and do things and just like take a breather from real life. Like I want everybody to be able to have access to that. So yeah, that's how I got into it. At some point, Rebellion was like, we're looking for someone. I convinced them that I would be a good fit. I still don't know how I did that.
Love that
and
energy.
you've gone from a good fit to Rebellion to really being like an advocate in the industry. One of the things I'm excited to see is that the full-time positions that are popping up across AAA as they really start to grab a hold of accessible game design.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, it's fantastic. It's always amazing seeing more people like joining. The community themselves are amazing as well. Like everybody professionally, everybody who's just part of the community as well. Like everybody working together, and it's just like it's so wholesome, and I love it. Like it's all about we're all working towards the same goal, and it's really great seeing more studios like taking accessibility seriously and knowing like there's a huge amount of people with different capabilities. It isn't just about like disability as well. Like the more I learn about it, the more I'm like, there are like 20 odd things that affect the way that I play games. Like all the way down from like having anxiety, so the new Resident Evils are a no-go for me and I'm stuck on my old Resident Evils. All the way down to things like if I've had a really stressful day at work, or I've just been doing a lot of stuff at work, a lot of stuff I don't want to like sit down and play something really intense. I want to like curl up with Stardew Valley and probably fall asleep playing it.
Yeah, on my side. So I've never been able to all my life figure out a controller. It just doesn't work. I cannot. If I just have to hit X, I'm all right. Give me a Nintendo game, give me an old school game where the controller only had 3 buttons. I'm good. So to see some of the accessibility settings that I can use, and people argue about, does it make the game easier? Well, it does, but I get to experience the story that otherwise I just don't have the the ability to do it. And it's not because of a limitation or a disability, but it's pure skill. Like I don't have that skill for a joystick. So I take advantage of those accessibility settings in that way. So it's something that's totally outside of why build games accessible. It's like, what, it also makes them more enjoyable for everyone.
Absolutely. It's just like, yeah, it's like it's everybody's different capabilities, it's everybody's different experience. Like, yeah, and it's the easy mode debate is one that's like been had for so long now, and like it's like, well, think about the different capabilities that you face and like the different barriers that you face in a game, and that like compared to somebody else, they're barrier to entry to a game might be significantly lower than yours, because you are not super well versed. Like, I'm not well versed in keyboard mouse, so like keyboard mouse games, just immediately I'm like, oh god, that's too much for me to try and to compute. My Steam library is just dictated by what has gamepad support. Like, so like you're already kind of like, you're needing those adjustments to take down that barrier to entry for you to be able to engage and be able to enjoy it and access it. And yeah, I think there was a really cute quote from a GDC talk that I cannot remember the name of, and I cannot remember who said it, and I'm very sorry, but it's like along the lines of like, I don't need that setting on, but someone else being able to experience this doesn't like invalidate my experience, it just enables them. And I think that that's just the perfect way to look at it.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's so, since you mentioned GDC, that the way we got here, that ReadSpeaker's involved with the IGDA is, we first discovered the game accessibility SIG, the special interest group, and that's what introduced us to it, which then brought us to the IGDA, which then brought us to GDC. So that the whole ecosystem for us has been, so welcoming, and giving us feedback on our tool and building things better. So it's a really, and it's a rewarding. And now I think, Carrie and I, we're on the same page. How can we make games more accessible? It's just great to be part of that community.
And I just to put a small plug in here, as GDC is right around the corner. The accessibility SIG does have a roundtable during GDC again. It's on the Thursday at 11:30 a.m. So I mean, which is really cool actually. The roundtables are a really good opportunity to chat with other devs and it's just a good experience overall.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
It was a great one. I went the past two. I've been at the roundtables. The key point being, it's open to everyone, right? So you can, if you just have the exhibit hall pass, you can join that roundtable. So it's not
That's
one
the beauty of it.
Yeah. It requires the extensive purchase. But this will be ReadSpeaker's second time at GDC. So we exhibited last year, and it was a great experience. Although we'll say Pontus's travel story of how we got landed landed at the wrong airport, and then the plane decided to divert to not land in San Francisco, but
oh no, oh goodness.
Yeah, what's the other city called?
It's on the other side of the bay. I forget. Yeah. I just remember our text message where Pontus is like, well, I'm kind of here.
Yeah, but then we couldn't what do you say, depart from the plane, so we were stuck on the plane for 3-4 hours and they had to refill the tank as well, because we had ran out of gas from the long flight. So yeah, it was quite a
that's an adventure.
Yeah. Hopefully,
yeah. Luckily, they had complimentary Cokes on airplane. So.
Oh, good. How nice of them.
Yes.
Wow.
There's always a story when it comes to travel. I see. So in the comments, Johanna asked if we're going to GamesCon, and it's one that we've looked at. We haven't made a decision yet. So
okay.
We're trying to be involved as many exhibits as we can. And it comes down to budget. But whether we attend or exhibit, we're out there.
Yeah, we were at DevCom last year, and first day of Gamescom as well. But we only had the exhibit at DevCom, whereas in Gamescom we were just roaming around on the floor. But we'll see if we'll be at Gamescom this year as well.
Yeah,
I would like to go. It's always fun.
As Pontus moves into the product role, we're send him out. Get his comfortable shoes on. Because the exhibits, it's long hours, but it's just amazing the conversations you have in those 2 or 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can send 10,000 emails and get 2 responses, or you're at the exhibit and you have 200 meaningful conversations.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is an amazing experience. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So, Carrie, what's next for Blind Blake? Where I know you mentioned an update to it, but are you going to continue to work on it? Is there any plan behind it?
So I mean, we did a bit of an update because we wanted to kind of finish off a couple of things that were kind of left unfinished. Like we didn't have like a pause menu. Sacrifices had to be made. So if you wanted to quit the game like mid-level, you had to just Alt F4. So
Oh,
that's
fun!
fine. Yeah. So
You don't stop the game. The game never ends. It's fine.
the game never ends. No. So yeah, so what's next? Well, we've put a build up on itch.io. So that's available on there. There will be a link that is in the video description. And yeah, it's so that new build has a bunch of new stuff. It's got some bug fixing. It's got the pause menu. It has an options menu now with a whole bunch of sound parameters, which is great. You can change the volume of like most things, and the footsteps are separate. The meeping marshmallow sound is separate, and so are the two voices that are used. So the Battenberg voice and the narrator voice. You can also change the speed of both of those voices as well. Had to make an options menu. Some of the more exciting stuff, you can now go back to build mode. So if you're playing it with two people and you do something and you immediately see what they're doing and go, oh no, I've made a massive mistake, you can now go back to build mode and you can change the layout that you've like put down. There is a little replay function now as well. So you can see the path that the player has taken either at the end of the level, or if you go into build mode and they've been playing, you can see a little replay of what they've been doing. We've got a reset player. If you get absolutely lost, you can go back to the start. We've got some new sizes. So in the video, you'll see that there's some scaling for like the marshmallows now, so they can change different sizes. And the same for the Battenbergs. You can have it take up the full width of a corridor. Because we found there was someone at the play party that put like Battenbergs behind the player, and they both said, turn around 180 degrees, you've hit a wall. And they put two of them down because it wasn't wide enough to take the whole space. And then this poor person that was playing ended up going into one and then into the other and then into one and then into the other and back and forth and just being like, there's walls all around me. So we've now made some nice user experience changes. Yeah, and Scott has made 2 new levels, which is really exciting. So one of them is a jump that has like, you need to jump over basically like a pit. If you fall into the pit, you just have to go back around and try again. So it's like a jump with a little bit of like a failure. And we have another one which is like a balance beam to try and get across, which is really fun as well. What's next for it? Well, there's a couple of things on our stretch goals list that we didn't get to. Like the audio description beacon was something that I'd mentioned. And like there's a couple prototypes hanging around in the back end that we didn't quite finish. So we have like a block that would squish the player. So there are like hazards. In some of the levels we have like these drawers that like open and close. And the intention was for them to be like dynamic platforms, and we never got round to implementing them. So like as platforms. And then there's also some little things I want to improve, like the tutorials are jank. And the I'd like to change the sound for the marshmallows, because I've gotten to the point now where the sound doesn't play fast enough for me, and I get really like fed up when I'm playtesting it, and I'm like going in a direction. Scott's like, why are you going over there? And I'm like, I'm just guessing. I think it's in this direction. So like I want to have some options for the marshmallows, like change the sound, or whether you want it to be like constant and stuff like that. But the most exciting thing that I'm looking forward to is getting gamers without sight to actually play it. So we didn't have that luxury over the Global Game Jam because we only had a couple days. I've spoken to Sightless Combat, who is willing to give it a go and let us watch him while he plays it as well, which will be fun. And the other thing that will be cool is that Sightless has lightly accepted our request. He's going to make us a little looping audio piece to replace the kind of placeholder music that we have at the moment, which will be really cute. But yeah, are we going to keep working on it? How long is a piece of string? We have ideas. The blessing with this is that Scott is currently he's graduated and he's between jobs at the moment, so he's got quite a lot of time on his hands. So I've been like, can you just do do this? Can you do this? Bless him. He's got his own personal projects. Then I'm here like, can you also do this stuff for me?
What about these ones that I would like you to do?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Here's my idea. Yeah.
Here's my personal projects. Yeah, exactly. But it's been really cute. I think there are definitely things that we could do with it that are quite cool, but I'm also very happy. So with like where the prototype is at the moment. So I don't want to promise anything because I mean I already have another personal project in development which needs to be sorted. Tom and Pontus know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, good.
Too many ideas, you know,
Mm.
all these great ideas in your head. No, that's
too many ideas.
right.
Yeah.
It's both a blessing and a curse, you know, to have that much creativity. So, and I think the global game jam process and the Make Us Laugh just changed what, you know, we would see as a, you know, here's a demo game for, you know, playing as a visually impaired player, and you know that taking the theme into the consideration, it made it that much more enjoyable. So just congratulations on the entry. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it both playing it, but also as like an educational piece of dropping that curtain and trying to play as a player without sight.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that y'all enjoyed it. Like we were like, this could go well or this could go awfully. So, but we had a lot of fun when we tested it at the end of the game jam. And yeah, I'm so happy that you guys liked it. Thank you.
So that's all I had. I mean, Parker,
I know.
we'll get together at GDC, and anyone
Yes.
that's listening, you know, they can stop by the IGDA booth and then
Yes.
the ReadSpeaker booth. I mean, it's going to be our kind of our next big event, and then, you know, Global Game Jam 2025, as you know, wild as that is.
It'll be here before you know it. So it means
Right.
you got to take all these ideas, all the learnings from this year, and apply it for next year. And so just get ready for it. But no, so GDC is the next big thing. Like I said, the accessibility SIG, they do a lot of great work. They've got the roundtable at GDC. They also have a game accessibility conference coming up, I believe, in April as well.
Mhm.
And so that's also always such a really cool event. I've never been, but I've heard nothing but amazing things. I've looked at the programming. It is always incredible. And so I'm just going to highlight the game accessibility SIG a little bit here. But
Yeah, no, and like it's a great organization. I mean,
yeah.
It's been a pleasure to be involved with. This is the European conference
Yes.
over in the UK. So
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
they
good.
have two a year. One, and they between you know, Ian and Tara, it's a really well event. I mean, I've just been impressed by it.
They do an incredible job with it for sure.
Mhm.
Amazing. All right. Well, any final thoughts, notes, anything anybody wants to add? Carrie, anything from you?
No, I think I'm okay. I just want to double down and say GAConf is amazing. I was there in person for the first time last year, and they had little Battenberg cupcakes at one point. Their catering was on point, by the way.
That's amazing.
But it was so good. It was like a conference I'd never been to before. They had like a nice like chill out room, like safe space kind of that you could go to as well. Like it was just wonderful, and everybody was lovely. So if you can go to it in person in London, it'll be amazing.
Fantastic. Pontus, anything that you'd like to add before we? And if anybody in the chats have any questions or anything like that they want to speak now or forever hold your peace, but we'll we'll wrap up. But Pontus, any last thoughts or comments from you on this?
No, I'll just have to look up what a Battenberg is now, I think. Sounds quite delicious. No, but I just want to add that you did a great work with your project. Really enjoyed playing it, and really seeing that you have implemented the accessibility feature so well. So yeah, congratulations to you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to play around with the ReadSpeaker plugin as well. Like I've worked with it for ages now, and it's been amazing. And if there is somebody who's making games, if there's a student, if you're making games in your spare time, you haven't played around with ReadSpeaker yet, and you're using Unity or Unreal, just go and do it. Like you might need to message Pontus because it's not building, like, and be like, what have I done wrong? But like, it's honestly like. There's a quote which you have used on some of your materials before where I've just been like, it's like Skyrim, it just works. And like I it does just work. It's so good.
Amazing. Tom, any final thoughts from you?
No, just if people are curious to learn about the embedded engine and what we're doing, ask questions, whether it is through the IGDA channels, whether it's through our Discord or through the ReadSpeaker website. There's many different ways to get in touch with us, but we love the conversations and we love seeing what people can do with the plugin like Carrie has done. So it's a pleasure.
Amazing. I love seeing the creativity as well. It's just so cool. That's the best part about game jams and being able to incorporate different elements, especially like this. So anyways, thank you all for joining us today then. I think we'll leave it there. Thank you to everybody who's watching us across Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever you happen to be watching this, or for watching it after the fact. Both of the links for the video as well as the itch page have been dropped in chat. We'll make sure that's also with the video and whatnot later too. But yeah, otherwise, have a fantastic rest of your day, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.